Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I am back again for another channel update and just kind of random topic video. And before I get going, I just, as usual, want to thank everybody for your support. I have gotten a lot of comments, like really nice comments, positive comments on some recent videos. I've gotten a few emails from developers, from viewers. Thank you to everybody who has been supporting the channel, supporting my work. Um, I've just had a lot of different things happen recently in the area of accessibility. I have my day job, but then just like some of my consulting work, advocacy work, and just the channel and stuff in general. So just a thank you to everybody who has been supporting me um, through all of that. If you are new to the channel, I do unlock videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Sometimes on other days if there is something else going on, maybe an accessibility event, a major announcement, some big release I just, couldn't sit on. Maybe a holiday video. You never know. It's just one day I might just feel like, hey, you know what? Let's have a bonus video for whatever reason. But Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays are typically the days where I release videos. You can find everything divided into playlists, and so you should find something that you would be interested in. Recent videos, I've got, a lot of different things here. I've got some accessible PC games, some accessible iOS games, some low vision spotlight videos. So again, if you are new, I have like low vision spotlights. I do a lot of those. Those are the games that I would play with the remaining vision that I have. I'm legally blind, so I, play a lot of games visually or try to. Accessible games, iOS or PC or even console. I've had a couple questions about accessible Xbox and console games lately. I do have like for Xbox and PlayStation. So just look for accessible game spotlights and you'll find those. I do cover virtual reality, although I really haven't lately, just because there's really not been much of anything happening in the world of VR/slash XR accessibility. Now, yes, we have had the Apple Vision Pro, and I've done a few videos, a couple videos at least, talking about that, commenting on one of Brian Tong's videos where he kind of demonstrated the UI. But it's such an expensive headset, $3,500 minimum. But then you got to get warranties and Apple Care, your Apple Care, your any accessories, and you're going to pay for additional storage, and just with some of the limitations that I've read about, that I've heard about, that I've seen in videos, it's just not time. Like, yes, I technically could afford it, but I think I'd be, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I would love to try it. I would love to have a, if anyone's giving away Apple Vision Pros, I'm here. I would more than love to have one, to try one, to cover one on the channel, and also just to, um, work with the developers that are making stuff so far, because I know there are a few apps out there that are doing accessibility work and features. So, yeah, there is that. But until they either lower the price or we get maybe a version 2 that is maybe a little bit more feature rich, some of the bugs worked out, and of course, maybe a little bit more affordable. I can't bring myself to buy one right now. Like, part of me really wants to, but the majority of me says, no. But I do have a VR playlist, a few VR playlists, like VR games, VR apps, VR experiences, and a VR accessibility playlist. I have a game accessibility playlist. So if you want to see some topics on, virtual reality accessibility, a lot of different topics there, not just blindness. Same with games. I have a lot of videos in my game accessibility playlist. Um, I have a playlist for podcasts, interviews, and presentations that I have done over the last several years. And I've been fortunate enough to have guested or co-hosted on a lot of different things in the past, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been interviewed. I have been, temporary guests on different things. I've done presentations on game accessibility, VR accessibility, just a lot of different stuff. So like I'm kind of proud of that work, and definitely check that out if you're new or you just want more information on any of those areas. And then one other playlist that I again want to draw people's attention to is the Growing Up Illegally Cited playlist. So again, if you're new here or you just have some general questions, how did I get into game accessibility? How did I get into doing my assistive technology day job? Just any number of different questions, or, I talk about just my history growing up being legally blind, anything from education, early computer, early game experiences. Like I said, education, grade school, high school, college, seeking employment. And again, that's a playlist that I'm rather proud of that I came up with in the last couple of years. And potentially, I think it could help a lot of people. And so I would love to see more people check it out. So, yeah, just check out the playlist section on the channel. Hopefully, you'll find something there you will like. Um, I could go on and on. I've been doing this for well over 10 years now. And, hardware reviews, the Tobii Accessibility Doom mod, that's got its own playlist. Retro first-person shooters, one of my favorite genres. Just loads of stuff. A couple Let's Plays here and there. Some geeky stuff, like geeky collectibles that I've gotten. Like check out my cool Optimus Prime robot. That is really, really awesome. But yeah, so definitely check out the playlist, check out the channel, and thank you again to everybody for your support, whether you've been here for 30 minutes or 10 years. Thank you. So, like I said, I have been pretty busy lately. February itself was just nuts. I mean, we've had my day job was just like non-stop appointments and evals and just craziness. And then on top of that, just a lot of different things coming out, a lot of different things I've been working on. March has finally slowed down a little bit. It's still pretty busy. But it's slowed down a little bit here, so I'm kind of glad for that. But as I said, we have a lot of different things here. There was a video for Adventure to Fate, Lost Island, which is the latest in the mobile RPG series that is voiceover accessible. And I do apologize because there was originally some confusion as to that people couldn't find the game in the App Store, because I had released the video for that a couple days before March 1st, and I forgot or didn't realize that the game was being unlocked or becoming available on March 1st, and so people were looking to download or buy the game. It is definitely available now for everybody. But I guess, like I said, I thought it was coming out a couple days before it actually did. So sorry for any confusion, but the game is out, and it's, like I said, it's quite good. It's quite challenging. I've gotten a bit further since recording that video, and I'm still playing it off and on. So that is a cool game. And, we've even got a couple of PC games lately that I have been playing. And the funny thing is, a lot of these, even mobile and PC games, there are these like accessible card games and deck building games that like normally I'm not really into. I've never really as much been into the turn-based games or strategy games or, card battlers. But what I'm finding again, accessibility is what really, really helps, because, your turn-based menu stuff. It's still definitely not my favorite genre, but I definitely find myself more open to it when I don't have to struggle and read all these user interfaces, menus, and cards and stats and different things. I don't have to struggle to read those things. Like, yeah, okay, I can kind of get into some of these if the story is interesting or some of the gameplay mechanics are interesting. So, like I said, I really think, again, accessibility sells. You can get people more interested in your product. I know a lot of developers, with all the layoffs and with all the horrible crap going on in not just the gaming industry but tech industry and uh, just big business in general. I mean, people are getting laid off and fired, and God only knows what else. Studios are closing, and people are looking for ways to get more interest in what they're doing, and accessibility is definitely one of those ways. Because, like I said, there are games that I have played recently where I probably wouldn't have given them a second glance. Um, but because they've been screen reader accessible on the PC, or maybe they've been voiceover accessible on mobile, I've given them a shot and I've kind of gotten into them. So, and definitely if you continue to do that going forward, you are going to create you create a couple of games, let's say, or a couple of apps or whatever. You create something going forward on an ongoing basis to where you're including accessibility. You're going to create some loyal customers because they will come to expect that, hey, okay, you're a company that actually is bothering to cater to me or cater to my, cater to a certain market, like blind or low vision accessibility, for instance. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of accessible game videos. There's a lot of low vision game videos. There's been a lot of cool retro first person shooter full games, early access games, demos. So I've been putting a lot of those out lately, and there's definitely more to come. So that genre is definitely going very strong. There's a couple videos that I haven't even released or recorded yet. Late February, we got the Dark Forces remaster, which I will probably be releasing the video for that here in the very near future. I've got that one recorded. But Wrath Aeon of Ruin, I did a demo video for it like 2, 3 years ago when it came out. But that's finally hit 1.0, and I just haven't even had a lot of time to sit down and play it, let alone record a video for it. But what little I've played, yeah, it's a really cool game, and I need to do a video for that as well. Um, there is this little game that has been kind of, when I've had a little bit of time, has been consuming me. Balatro, Balatro, is this poker themed card game that, God, man, I wish the developer would be able to get back to me. I did reach out to the developer. I know a couple of you also have. This is a game that I don't know what engine they're using, but just like the way the game plays, the mechanics, if created from the ground up or if it was able to be patched somehow, this could be a hugely addictive, a hugely popular, accessible card game because everybody, who's been playing it visually for the last 2, 3 weeks, I hear about it everywhere: podcasts, videos, um, articles, tweets, whatever. Um, it's you're not playing poker, but you use poker hands amongst like all kinds of other crazy cards like jokers and tarot cards and planetary cards, and there are all these modifiers, and you're trying to get the highest scores, and just check out the video for it. But it is really fun. So I would love one of three things to happen. I would love for either the developer to eventually do some sort of accessibility update so we could get the game to be officially accessible, or I would love to see. Um, I don't know if the game could be modded somehow, but if somebody in the modding community can take a look at even like the PC version and somehow make that accessible, just similar to how they've been doing with Doom and Stardew Valley and Warcraft and um, all these other games. I think it would be really popular because a lot of, I know there's a lot of people that still play things like Dice World and things, and so I think Balatro could be really popular and really a deep and fun card game for the blind community if it were made accessible. Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of videos that I still have to record. I just learned literally this morning the video for Adventure to Fate, Lost Island. Apparently, Pocket Gamer did a article about it, and they embedded my video into that link because they were talking just in general about the game and that it was, blind accessible. And yeah, so the developer reached out to me and said, "Hey, I don't know if you saw, but um, we got featured both his game and my video for it has gotten some mention in Pocket Gamer. I think he said it even gotten mentioned in a couple of other different places. So very cool. Like I'm glad, and this is a this is a um, mainstream website, so it's it's really cool to see. Like I hope that leads to, because this is a game that's totally visual as well. So blind people can play it, sighted people can play it, anything in between. Um, I hope that draws more attention to his game so it continues to do well. And yeah, I'm hoping that it maybe brings more people to my video and even just the channel in general. And if you see this after you've watched the Pocket Gamer video, like I said, definitely check out the rest of the channel. Hopefully you'll find something unique and helpful as far as game accessibility goes. Um, so yeah, I mean that's some of the videos that have been out and things that have happened. I did, if you missed it, if you look up the FS cast from Vespero / Freedom Scientific, their FS cast, I believe it was, what was it, 241. I was actually asked, I was invited to be interviewed in that regarding accessible gaming. So it was me, it was another Freedom Scientific developer, and then, oh, I forget your name. Sorry, man. And I've retweeted about it before too. The accessible game jam that was happening not too long ago. So they had a lot of it was cool because it was really nice and cleanly well edited and everything, and they covered so much in that FS Cast episode, from just kind of an overview of accessible games, some of the current state of accessible gaming, and then like accessible game jam that was going on to kind of create and give more developers um, experience designing games with accessibility in mind. So very fun. Thank you to those guys for inviting me to be part of that episode. And I do have yet one more podcast. Not sure when it's coming out, but hopefully sometime this month. Just follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at BGFH79, and I will let you know when that episode comes out. But again, we're talking just all things nerdy, game accessibility, a little bit of tech, a little bit of just anything and everything. So it was a really fun interview, really fun episode to be a part of. So yeah, definitely when that comes out, I will let you know. So yeah, it's been really busy. Last month I also did a couple of gaming accessibility kind of consulting type opportunities, consulting / advocacy opportunities. Unfortunately, again, I'm not at liberty to say those pesky NDAs, but can't really say anything more than that. But again, I've just had a lot of fun working with people, a lot of fun doing this type of work. And, I don't know what's going to become of these, these experiences or these opportunities, but it looks promising. It looks very promising, and they're taking things really seriously. So very, very intrigued about it. and we shall see. As far as game accessibility, a couple of videos that I hope to get done within the fairly near future here. Just this last couple of days as I'm recording this, we've had a couple of game updates and new games available on different platforms that have included a great level of accessibility. So remember last year when I did my Spider-Man review, my Spider-Man 2 review for the PlayStation 5. Well, now we have that update that was supposed to come out with additional blind accessibility, text-to-speech screen reader support, audio description. Apparently, there's not really much more in the way of navigation assist. There's a thing where you can click the right, I think it's like the right analog stick, and you can kind of like you have to do it like super often if you're really trying to follow, but um, you know, trying to find your continue to your waypoint. So I know blind people are playing it. I don't know how well they're doing independently, if they're always having to have sighted assistance. And you said it is weird that you would add a screen reader and audio description, but not make the game playable first. You know, like, oh, let me just make sure I can get to my objectives where I would have said cutscenes. Um, I mean, I guess maybe that those other things are maybe a little bit easier to implement. And again, they don't just help totally blind, like they will really help me. Like with the interface and stuff, like that game will probably become much more playable for me. Um, but I do want to take a look at that. So I'm hoping to do a video on that in the next little while. Um, then there is a little game that came out, God, what, 2 years ago now? As Dusk Falls. I remember it being a really big summer game. Yeah, I think it was a couple years ago. Kind of the like think about The Walking Dead. A lot of the Telltale games, something like that, but just really, really good. Like it. I mean, it's a mature story. Um, Kind of a adventure point and click kind of a thing. Very, very good branching story options. But they have added additional accessibility, including audio description. It is available on the PlayStation 5 now, is because it was an Xbox and PC exclusive before. But I guess they've gone back and added in, even on the Xbox and PC version, they've added these new accessibility features that they included in the PlayStation 5 edition. They've added those back into the original, so I might just fire up. The game is not that long, so when I get a chance, I might fire that game back up. And again, because there's so many different branching pathways and choices and ways things can happen, I might want to do another run through that game, especially with like if audio descriptions and things like that are available. But I'd like to do a video on that. So again, those are some big mainstream games they're both very good, um, that are more blind accessible. As far as like other mobile stuff or other upcoming games, I really don't know what's going to be blind accessible. Um, but we'll just have to keep an eye because we just might get some more surprises as we've gotten over the last couple of years. Like, oh, by the way, this game comes out and either it's accessible at launch or somebody patches in something later. So we'll just have to see. I mean, I wish we did know of a few more, but hey, I'm glad we're getting as much as we are. I do briefly want to talk a little bit about a couple of accessibility conferences that I attended or that I need to catch up on. Because, yeah, in the past couple of weeks, we've had a couple of accessibility conferences. We've had AXECON, AXECON. I kind of find it funny that it's AXE and not instead of like ACC or something. But AXECON, that one I've only listened to a session or two because, like I said, I registered for it. It was during the workday, but it has just been such nonstop craziness at work. I was literally not able to attend the virtual conference live. And so the nice thing is shortly thereafter, all of these sessions were archived on their website for anyone who registered. And so people can check those out if they, I think you can even still register. Like if you want to get the archives, I think you can register and then just go, watch whatever archives you want. And there's a lot of them there. I think I have between like 15 and 20 sessions currently bookmarked because you can, when you register, you can basically add to your queue, you can add to your schedule, and then you just go to your schedule page and it brings up all of the sessions that you are interested in attending, or in this case, watching later, the on-demand versions. And so, I mean, there's a lot of focus on artificial intelligence and AI because that's just, that's the hot button thing right now. But there's things about like accessible communities, getting buy-in from, if you're working at a business or if you're working at an organization, how to get managerial buy-in, to, have, or just how to get accessibility as part of your core, what's the word I'm looking for? Like core values kind of a thing. There, like I said, there's all kinds of stuff. I know there's at least one or two sessions on accessible gaming. Um, I know. Oh, I met him at GAConf. Sorry, dude, what is your name? I know one of them was from the guy. Oh man, I know your name too, and I feel stupid. Guy at Ubisoft. We hung out at the Game Accessibility Conference in 2019. But he's got a session there that I want to watch. And I think there's one other game accessibility session. So yeah, a lot of different representation there. Oh, that's gonna bug me. I can't think of your name. David Tisserand. David Tisserand. You might see him on Twitter and accessibility stuff quite a bit. But yeah, he's got a session on there. So yeah, I mean, I definitely want to check back when I have some time. Glad those are archived so we can check those out. And then this past Thursday, we had through Microsoft, we had the Ability Summit, which is a one-day thing. And I was able to attend much of that virtually because it was a one-day virtual conference. And they had their own sort of, they had their own kind of just sessions. They would have, what was it, like three or four different main keynotes where everybody was in one, everyone was in one room kind of a deal and just listening to a session. And then between those, they would have breakouts for different types of areas like design or build, or what was it, innovate, build, and I forget what the third one was, but different kind of paths which had different topics in there. And so I was kind of bouncing around through those throughout the day. And there were some really interesting things. Again, they were talking a lot about AI, artificial intelligence. One thing that I did learn, one major takeaway that I learned, which I'm very intrigued by, is, late last year I covered the Be My Eyes app on the channel and the new Be My AI feature, which is still just brilliant, by the way. If you have not yet checked that app out, I highly recommend that you do so. I literally made a playlist because I've made 3 videos on that app so far. Actually 4, I think. Um, Different use cases and just it's incredible. But Be My Eyes or Be My AI, I have a playlist just even for that, in addition to putting it in the like accessible iOS app playlist. Um, Not only is that available on iOS and Android right now, but they didn't give a date, but sometime this summer, we are getting Be My Eyes and therefore Be My AI on Windows. You'll be able to get it through the Windows Store. And that could have some really potentially helpful use cases, whether it's just like, oh, I need to have an image described to me, or because they did like a short demonstration, they did like a early, again, of course it's not the final version, but like a conceptual video of like this is what you can do. And they were like recognizing an image in one, and then they did one where they just recognized like the whole screen. So we've had like NVDA and JAWS has their own um, descriptive tools like describing the screen. One thing I do have to say that I like on JAWS is it does have the ability, like you can, when you do the virtual OCR, you can either do the screen or the entire document. So if you have a PDF file, you can accessibly OCR the whole thing. And I wish that NVDA had something similar. Like I know you have an OCR, but I think it's really just the whole, you can do the screen. Like if you have a 30-page PDF file, I don't think you can just say, hey, OCR this whole thing. It's just really nice to have that just natively built into the screen reader. But yeah, this Be My AI feature I think is going to be really helpful. I think it's going to be, a lot of stuff is going to mobile. But again, you got to remember, especially in an education world, especially in an employment world, and during my day job, I work with students all the time. And one kind of frustrating trend that I'm seeing, if you are a younger viewer watching this, hey, I tell people all the time, yes, iPads, iPhones, mobile devices, Android devices, whatever, they're great. Braille displays can be very, very important. Note takers can have their place for some people too. I'm not a big fan of them, but they have their uses. But like, all the, like, if you're doing everything on the iPhone or iPad or Android phone, yeah, they do a lot. But there's still, computer use is still very, very important. If you want to be successful, if you want to get through your high school, if you want to get through your college, if you want to become successfully employed to where you can support yourself and not live paycheck or government check to government check. If you want to be more than that, computer skills are critical. Computer skills are a must. Because even things like I know a lot of people will use in schools. Maybe they'll use Google Classroom, they'll use Schoology, they might use any number of different learning management systems, Blackboard, and in a lot of those cases, those platforms, their apps will have like basic functionality or a core set of tools that you can use on mobile, but they're not the full experience. So in a lot of cases, you will more than likely have to use the full website in your browser to do different things, maybe submitting assignments or accessing certain types of features or tools, and just work in general. Like we use computers all the time, and there's not really much of a job where you can't, where you have to use a computer. Even things where you might not use a computer that often, you still might have um, to a limited degree. So I can't stress enough the importance of, yeah, learn your mobile accessibility tools and apps. That's awesome. But please don't neglect learning a computer. If you're given the opportunity when you're younger, when you're in middle school, high school, please, for the love of God, take it. Because trust me, you'll thank me later. But getting off my soapbox there, the reason that I stress on that is just because, like I said, I'm glad that some of these mobile tools are coming back to PC. Not sure if there's going to be a Mac version, but we'll see. I wouldn't discount it. I mean, it could happen, but I don't think we know of anything just yet on that. But it is coming to PC sometime this summer. And I think that is the major thing, major announcement, so to say, that I got out of the Ability Summit. And again, they were talking a lot about just different accessibility things. There was one on through Microsoft and their accessibility or game accessibility stuff. They were talking about Forza Motorsport. They were talking about the adaptive controller and their accessibility tags so people can, look for a game that meets certain accessible criteria. So yeah, there was some gaming stuff there, but there was AI, there was some businessy stuff, there was, just advocacy and just a wide variety of different topics there. So, not a bad day at all there either. And the more I think about, like next steps and AI, and because there's a lot of like how can there's a lot of focus in both of these conferences about how can different AI models and generative AI, how can those things benefit or contribute to accessibility? And we've already seen a huge example of this. I mean, like I said, the Be My AI feature is probably one of the coolest and most practical and useful uses of artificial intelligence that I've seen so far. But then, like I said, not even just looking at blindness. Think about if you have a mobility impairment and, it takes you a long time to type out a long email where you have to convey a lot of information, or maybe, um, whatever disability you have, it makes writing harder. You could take sources from like things that you have written. You could take sources from, just the internet in general. You could take things from like documents that your organization or business uses, and then you could say like, generate me a draft of an email about the importance of this new web 2.0, or I don't know, some new feature about accessibility and why it's important, or compare this thing to that thing. And then, that'll be generated, and then the user, or they can save some of their time, some of their exhaustion, some of their effort that they would expend creating that original email. They can go and, oh, okay, this is a good starting point. Now I can go in and customize it and add more specific personal touches, things that are important for the organization if you're representing the organization or a business. So, there are different use cases that can really help accessibility. And one feature that I can't help but think about is there's two things that I think I would love to see happen, and I think that are inevitably going to happen. One we're already starting to see is AI and wearables. So you look at like the Envision glasses. You look at there's a new pair of glasses type of thing called Celeste. That is a subscription model that I'm tempted to check out. I've talked with one of the head guys there, and I haven't bitten on it yet because I forget I think it's like $100 initially, and then it's like $50. So it's like a $50 a month subscription. But in that subscription, if they release, let's say, a new piece of hardware, let's say they've updated their glasses where, oh, the onboard processor is faster, it's got more memory, it's got some better cameras or something, you will be able to send your old pair of glasses in and exchange it for the new pair at no additional charge. You just pay that $50 continually for that subscription. So, I mean, on one hand, like, yeah, $50 a month is a little bit high. But again, they need to make the money so they can make the glasses and do updates and different things like that. So I get that. And the reason I haven't bid on it is because, like, maybe if I was totally blind and I use these a lot more, I could definitely see more of a instant need for something like that. But for me, if there's something that I can't see, I might use something like Be My AI to check it out. But I might just as easily just be able to whip out my phone and turn on the magnifier app, and within a couple seconds, oh, okay, I got what I needed to know. So it's maybe not as immediately critical right now. So I just haven't, like, I don't know if I would make the $50 a month justified I don't know if I could justify that for myself. But I know that they're talking about probably, I'm sure they'll have a new pair of glasses sometime. And so maybe when that comes out, I might eventually bite on it. You never know. But what I think, so going along with the wearables and probably glasses type form factor, the other thing that I could see really being useful, and I don't know how easy or how complicated it would be for generative or for AI to do this, but think about if, especially as like local hardware gets more powerful, as it gets more memory, in order for this next thing to work, you're going to have to do a lot of your processing, a lot of your interpretation locally. You can't be sending it up to the cloud, at least for the most part, for this next thing to work. But I think, even given the next couple of years, I think it could work. Because ultimately, what I think would be really cool, and they've already been talking about like having a more personal assistant, AI assistant. So right now, you're asking Be My AI, and it's just giving you a general response. But like, let's say you use it over time, maybe you have an account, or maybe however it works. It starts to learn what types of things you want to know about. So if I take a picture of an environment and I ask it certain things regularly, like, oh, this person doesn't care what the people are wearing, but it cares where there's an empty seat, or they care about, I don't know, some other detail in the environment. Or if I take a picture of a box, it's going to determine if it's food and says, oh, this person always wants to hear the cooking instructions because that's ultimately what they take pictures of food things for. They're not necessarily wanting the nutrition information or all the other fluff about it. They want to know how to cook it. So there's already that part of it, which could be really, really cool, because if it could learn and just be like, give me the info that I'm generally, and if you need other information, you can ask it because you can already ask follow-up questions. But like having a personal assistant that would be more geared toward the things that you want to know about would be cool. That's one piece of it. But then on the other part, where I think things are ultimately going to go, is if you can put enough processing power locally, and especially if you have a wearable where you're looking, you just have a pair of glasses on, instead of taking a picture of something, if it could just monitor things live and tell you things that happen, almost like a live video feed. So I'm walking around and, I'm like, oh, there's a sign up ahead and it says, oh, on your right, there's a sign about a free grand opening event for a small business, or there's a sign next to this corner that says detoured construction or whatever. Or you're just walking down the hallway and there's some sort of signage or poster, or there's something of interest that it could tell you. And think about it, even not from a mobility point of view, but even I'm looking at it like you're using your computer, and there's certain things that just don't inherently talk because um, some of the companies just don't seem to prioritize accessibility. Antivirus software, anyone? We get a new computer and we need to start setting it up, and the first thing that we do is uninstall this Norton McAfee crap for people because it's just horrible. But those install slash uninstall widgets are never accessible. And so if, not only if it could be like, if you're using something on your computer or using a wearable, they could make that accessible. And kind of like what iOS is doing, again, if I had Be My Eyes on my computer and I was using it, and I could say, it would look at the program and go, oh, this is what it says, and this appears to be a checkbox. This appears to be a radio button or a button, and make it actually navigable or interactable, kind of like how the iOS does it when I forget what the feature's called, but where you can make some of the interfaces like direct touch, I think it's called, um, having that more of a universal accessibility option. Or let's say that I'm playing a game, I'm playing a game and the game is not inherently accessible, especially one that maybe came out already that I've always wanted to play, but it's just been too hard. What if you combine a wearable that has a live camera feed and it could just monitor again? You wouldn't be able to submit it to the cloud because things happen in games so quickly. It would have to know like certain things, and process them locally for it to make much use. But you combine that, and then you combine it with like learning what you prefer. What would be ultimately the coolest thing ever is I'm playing a game, and it doesn't know, it might recognize, because even right now, you take a picture of something with Be My Eyes, and it recognizes like, oh, this appears to be a screenshot of a first-person shooter. Or in some cases, it might even recognize, oh, this looks like the dude from Halo, or whatever. So it contextually can figure some of that out already. But let's say that I'm playing a game, and the main thing that I need to know is I need to monitor. I can't see it super well. I need to know what my health is. I know what my ammo count is. And so at any time, I could just be playing a game, and if the AI is listening to me, or I just tap my head, tap my glasses or something, and I go, what's my health? What's my ammo? Or, if I could train the AI just like you train like voice recognition right now, I could be looking at, I could have a game paused or I could have a game idle, and I could say, the health is a meter in the upper left corner, or the lower right corner tells me what weapon and ammo I have equipped. And then it learns that and it says, oh, these are things that you care about. When something substantial changes, maybe my health gets to be 50%, 25%. It could just let me know, hey, your health is getting low. Hey, your health 50%, health 20%. I know it's a huge dream. I know it's just wild, crazy imagination right now. But as far as AI has come in the last 6 months, 12 months, as long as you have the local processing power to do it quickly enough, is if it monitors a live feed and it doesn't have to shove it up to the cloud, like basically it's doing just local image recognition. It would be recognizing text. Your phone already does local OCR. The Envision glasses already do local OCR. You don't need to connect to the cloud for that. If you would have to, like, if you wanted they're talking about different AI models, like, they have ChatGPT, let's say, or OpenAI, and with these platforms, people can create their own, more specific AI. So let's say you have a blind accessible gaming AI and people fed it loads of video, loads of screenshots of different games. So it started to recognize, oh, a health bar is sometimes it's a percentage or a number, sometimes it's a bar at the lower or top of the screen, sometimes it's a little goofy, like there'll be games where like I'm trying to think of an example, but there's been cases where like your health bar, there's like a circle in the corner of the screen, and around the outer part of the circle, like it goes, um, there'll be like the health bar will be like a round line all the way around the perimeter of the circle. And so if it learns to recognize those patterns, or like, oh, this appears to be a health bar, this is what ammo indicators generally look like. And if I was on the, think about, let's say, a menu or a game that didn't have menu narration, and I was trying to get to a specific option. Rather than trying to fumble with OCR, what if it was monitoring me and it knew the basic difference between something that was highlighted and not highlighted? And I could literally ask the AI to be like, tell me when I get to options, or when I move the cursor here, read me what gets highlighted. You know, I know I'm not saying that eloquently, but like, let's say I could just say something like read highlighted item. And then it would monitor, and I hit down, it said new game. I hit down arrow again, it says options, credits, quit. And then at any time I could just say stop, kind of like I would do with a smart speaker right now. I know, like I said, I know it's really, it still sounds like science fiction hearing it come out of my mouth. But I genuinely think that within the next few years, if not sooner, I could see something like that happening. I mean, mainly you need the hardware, you need the local processing power, and I think you would want to have some sort of like I said, if you had a local, you could download a more specific, like I said, you could download a accessible gaming model, accessible gaming AI model, because that's what I care about, and it would have those types of things. So maybe if someone who is developing that model, they got in a bunch of people with disabilities, maybe a bunch of blind low vision users, and they would say, okay, when you're playing a game, what things are critical that are visual that you don't get access to in most games? Whether that would be navigation, reading a mini map, menus, user interface, health bars, ammo indicators. Maybe I'm navigating a complex environment, or maybe I'm playing The Last of Us, and it's great that we have audio description for the cutscenes. But let's say that I'm walking down the road, and I just have the glasses on, and just like I'm walking in the real world, it could be like, oh, there's a building on your left that with the ruined signage that says, I don't know, that says Ford Theater. I don't know. And so like those are things that may not be audio described to you, or you could just be like, turn on like you could have a feature that would turn on environmental description. So as you're walking, oh, I'm walking. There are loads, because you get even The Last of Us, a game that's hugely accessible. You know where to go, but you don't. If you're totally blind, you don't know what you're crossing unless a character will specifically point it out. You might hear like, oh, I need to jump on this truck and then up to the rooftop. But unless the characters call out that, unless you really know what the exact footstep sounds and stuff are, you don't know that you're navigating through a road with a whole bunch of junked cars blocking it, and then you are passing uh, a building that is basically rubble, that has its windows shattered out, and so things like that, like a live, like live audio description. There's so much potential, and I almost feel like I want to like in air quotes, I want to put like trademark copyright. Um, if I had half a brain to know how to program, if I had, if I knew somebody, this is something that I would love to pursue, because as the technology becomes more capable and available, I think these are some really interesting practical uses. And not just video games, but like you could, just like how in something like Blind Square GPS on mobile right now, if you can turn on and off different types of points of interest that you want to hear about. So you could be wearing a pair of glasses and just be walking down the road, and you could say, tell me about any street intersections I come up to, or tell me about any restaurants you see as I walk by them. So you can, instead of having everything continuously blabbing at you, it would just tell you about the categories that I want to know about, and you could just do it in a more conversational, interface. So, like I said, I arrive early for an interview or for an appointment. I'm walking down a business district sidewalk, and I say, "Tell me about any restaurants or coffee shops nearby, and maybe a bank, because you need to get some cash." Um, that could be something that a type of AI, because you're using OCR, but you're not just using OCR. You're using like intelligence to be like, oh, this actually says bank, or it recognizes the McDonald's and knows that's a restaurant. Um, Even if something it's not sure of, it could, when it needs to, it could connect online and say, oh, it looks at a sign and says Freddy's or something, and like, well, what is Freddy's? I don't know. I don't have any context. What is that? If I was the AI, I could look at the address and I could say Freddy's and say, what is and it could do this in like a couple seconds. It would be like, okay, we're in, I don't know, Pittsburgh, and we are looking at a restaurant on Fifth Avenue that says Freddy, or we're looking at a sign that says Freddy's. What is it? Is it a restaurant? Is it a club? Is it whatever? And then it would know whether it should tell me about it or not. Um, so those are just a few kind of pie in the sky things that I was really thinking about as I've been listening to all these artificial intelligence presentations of both of these conferences. I know I took a wild tangent there, but honestly, again, AI was a huge focus, so they didn't really touch on too many examples. Like they're looking at some current examples. One of the other ones that I thought was kind of cool was this like a communication board. So we've talked a lot about blindness, but like let's say again you can't speak, or you can't speak very well, and typing just takes so long. Currently there are devices where like your speech pathologist or somebody who helps a person, you'll have like a standard communication board where you can have preset phrases for common tasks, like, oh, where's the bathroom, or I'm thirsty, or you know certain things that somebody would commonly say. But then if you have, you could use AI to help you, instead of having to manually create every one of these things for every individual. um, Depending on the age, depending on the person's personality, what their interests are, what their needs are, you could kind of have it build a profile. You give it some information about the student or about the person, and then it could kind of generate a starting point of a custom communication board, alternative communication device that they could use. And that's another great idea. You start with something semi-customized, and then if there are certain things that they, like I said, they talk a lot about, I don't know, TV shows, so they can have something, a lot of stuff about TV shows, but then the AI doesn't know, but that the person really loves Cobra Kai. So they're like, oh, okay, well then I'm going to put a few different buttons on here about Cobra Kai because they always talk about it. Um, so it's not using AI to replace people, but to make not only the person with disability their life easier, but for the people who are even assisting people with disabilities, making things potentially easier. So there's a lot of really intriguing, and I'm sure there's loads of things I haven't even thought of, haven't even considered. The more I'm just thinking about this, I'm glad I'm recording this in a video, but like I should be writing this down in like a more coherent um, form, because there's just so many fascinating potentials. The more I hear other people talk about it, the more I use different apps and different tools that are starting to incorporate artificial intelligence. And of course, there some things that's going to possibly hold some of this up is the whole privacy and what's the word I'm looking for? Like basically the privacy angle. Um, like I said, many years ago when Google Glass was a thing, it was kind of short-lived because you would have these glass holes, as people called them. You don't know if somebody is, especially if you're looking, a picture is one thing, but if you're basically live streaming to your glasses, let's say, just so you can get that environmental information, you don't know when people are going to be there. People may not want to be um, captured, even though it's not saved. People, they don't know what you're doing with the camera. They don't know that you're just using it as a blindness tool. They could think you're recording them and, you know, monitoring, observing them. So if they do something wrong, you could turn them in, But there's a lot of different privacy issues and things around that, um, again, maybe in a case where you are live capturing, if it sees a person, again, you want to make sure that nothing is saved. But I mean, how would you do that? Would you automatically, like if something is being saved or brought to the cloud, maybe that it just recognizes the shape and it says, oh, that is a person, so I'm going to blur out any, and because there's all these like photo and video filters, and maybe you blur out before it gets sent to the cloud, it just blurs the part that it thinks is a person, so that you don't have any personal identifiable information as it's sent up to the cloud. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the answers are to some of these potential problems and issues, but again, there's very, very interesting potential. So sorry for such a wide, like a big tangent there from the conferences, but it was something that I originally, like I said, when I was thinking about doing this video about these conferences, it was definitely a topic that I wanted to cover. Because, just myself giving it a lot of thought, using the apps and using the tools that I've seen so far, hearing other people talk about it, there's just so much interesting things that could happen that would almost sound like a science fiction fever dream even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, but really doesn't seem all that like it doesn't seem that impossible anymore. Yeah, we're still not there yet. We still need things to catch up, maybe hardware and processing wise, but I think we're getting pretty damn close. Ethical, that's the other word I was looking for. Privacy and ethical uses. Aside from those things, like I think we're pretty close. So those are some of the sessions. Again, AxeCon and Ability Summit. You can look up those. I think Ability Summit, usually eventually they're going to be put archived on the Microsoft Enable, MS Enable YouTube channel. I know they had like last year's is up there. It's already up there. So this year I would presume would be as well. And I think again, AxeCon, I think you could even still register to get access to the archives if you want to watch some of those sessions. So yeah, I need to catch up on those, but been checking those out again. April, what is it? 21st, 22nd, 23rd. We have the European Game Accessibility Conference. It's in person and virtual. So if you're in North America like I am, you'll have to, you can either watch the archives or you can be crazy like I'm going to and get up at like 3 in the morning to attend it live. But again, you're interested in game accessibility. You want to make some connections. You want to, it's not going to magically fall into your lap. You got to go out there and make your connections or introduce yourself, put some of your work out there, whether you've consulted or whether you do, YouTube videos or podcasts or something related to articles related to tech accessibility, game accessibility. I mean, that's kind of how I did it. And I just over time, it's not going to happen necessarily overnight unless you're really lucky, but that's how you get going. So I definitely recommend registering for that, especially if you're doing the online version. It's free. So Game Accessibility Conference coming up. Microsoft is also going to have like a Surface event on March 21st. I don't know that I'm going to do a separate video for that unless they do something really, really crazy, amazing accessibility wise. But it sounds like they're going to be talking a lot more of their Copilot, a lot more of their, Surface products, Surface laptops, Surface tablets. And I really like the Surface tablets. I really do. I mean, that Surface Go that I have, other than the fact that it's supremely underpowered, I mean, come on, I haven't used a computer with 4 gigs of RAM in 20 years, man. The form factor is actually really kind of nice. I got to play with a Surface laptop through work, and again, they're very nice, but they're expensive buggers, though. That's the other thing, like I kind of wish I could buy like the combination of the keyboard and the little what do they call it? The type cover. That's what they call the keyboards, like the type cover and the tablet together as more of an affordable, because the type covers are fairly expensive themselves and they're sold separately from the tablet. But yeah, I mean the form factors of those are nice, and I haven't dove into Copilot really yet. So that's something else I need to explore. Maybe as I start to figure it out more, maybe I'll be able to do a video of that in the future. But again, back to AI. So that's something else that's coming out. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple game accessibility releases coming out. There's plenty of other just mainstream games. I'm going to play Low Vision that are coming out. God, there was another one that like there's like I think there's 2 new Turtles games coming out. There's one that's based on the recent movie and the series that's coming out later this year. What was it called? Mutant Mayhem. There's a Turtles game coming out on that, but then there's also an arcade game that was based on I believe, the 2012 series, that was only in arcades. I don't think it ever came to console, but that is also coming out. I don't know that do we have a date for that? It might be April or May if it was announced. I can't remember. But yeah, so we're getting some Turtles again, and hey, I'm all for some beat 'em up brawler stuff. So Turtles games, some shooters. We've got. I don't know. I don't know if this year is going to be quite as packed as last year, but we're already getting some darn good games. So I just keep watching the channel. I'll be regularly covering and releasing game videos. And I've been asked, the vast majority of games that I play, that I cover, yeah, I pay for these games myself. I might get them on sale. Some of them I buy new, but I would say the vast majority of games that I cover on the channel, I'm not affiliated with like the press or anything, so I don't get press accounts. I don't get every game for free like a lot of people are seeming to do these days. I'm buying them myself because I'm interested in them, because I want to play them, because I want to cover them and give accessibility feedback and let you guys know how playable the games are. But yeah, I buy the vast majority of them myself. So yes, this is as many games as I cover on the channel, even if they're smaller, cheaper indie games, I'm largely buying them. I mean, thank God for things like Game Pass. That saves me a little bit of money. And yes, occasionally I do get a few game keys or mobile keys for games from developers or publishers. And I very, very much appreciate that. That has saved me money. And I have gotten a few of those in the past several years. And I will let you know when I do, when I do get something provided by the developer or publisher or through however. But yeah, I mean, other than a few Game Pass games, other than a few keys that I've gotten, um, occasionally I might get a game from a friend or two. But yeah, otherwise it's me, man. We're buying them and we're playing them. So I hope that answers other people's questions that I've gotten on that. To wrap up the video, I briefly just want to touch on Microsoft had another partner direct or a partner showcase. What was it? Or was it? God, was that earlier this week? I think it was. I think it was on Wednesday. I'm not going to go through every game here, but I'll just do a few highlights. Early on, they had a couple. I mean, they had a few really cool games being announced, and it was there were third party games, and there was a lot of like action, a lot of hack and slash type of things. There was some shooting, stealth game. But let's see here. I have to bring it up here. So let's see. I don't know how to say this word. Kanetsugami, Path of the Goddess. I don't remember exactly what this one was, but I remember it looking pretty cool. Seems to be it was definitely on like the actiony third person type of thing. But that looks promising. And it sounds like it's, unless it gets delayed, 2024. A lot of Final Fantasy 14 stuff. They're talking about new content for that is continuing to come out. We've also had a lot of Persona 3. They're doing this whole remaster or remake of Persona 3. Again, not something I've really been into because, again, accessibility would help with that a lot. But there's things coming, like I think this month and like off and on throughout like June or July. So there's different pieces of content coming out for Persona 3. A lot of people are going to be into that. This one was weird. I kind of wish it's really unfortunate that it's Roblox because I don't really have any interest in Roblox per se. But they're announcing this partnership where they're making things with Chucky. Yes, that Chucky, the creepy doll. Griffle, the town of Griffle or something. It's like this. It seemed, I don't know if it's like an asymmetric multiplayer thing or exactly how it works, but they showed some gameplay footage of it. It looked kind of fun, actually. We get a lot of the Dead by Daylight is pretty popular these days, and so yeah, I can see definitely other companies, whether it's like Fortnite or Roblox or something, trying to do something like that. But yeah, there's this Chucky thing, and that is out now. Yeah, so Persona 3 Reload, I talked about that already. There's lots of content coming out for that. Oh yes, and the other thing that is already out is the new Stalker game is coming supposedly later this year or soon, and the original Stalker trilogy is available now on Xbox consoles. So if you want to play Shadow of Chernobyl, or I forget even what the other ones are called, I tried the Stalker games, and they were just maybe a little bit too, I don't know. I don't want to say jank, but kind of overwhelming for me. So I just never really got into them. I totally respect them for what they are because they are kind of cool, but I've just never been able to get into them super much. Oh, I'm trying to remember what this one was. Tales of... Tales of Kenasira or something. I don't know how to say it. Again, there were some weird names in here. This was like a mythological thing, and again, I'm not quite sure fully what the gameplay is on it, but it looked kind of interesting. The first Berserker, this one caught my attention. This is one that kind of, I don't know if it's more of a general like hack and slash. I don't know if it plays more like a Ninja Gaiden or if it plays more like a Dark Souls kind of a thing. But it was this, they showed quite a bit of gameplay, and it was, third person hack and slash type of thing. I don't know if it's more, if they're focused on just action or if they're focused on difficulty the way that the Souls games are, or that Ninja Gaiden is, or if it's going to be a little bit more like casual friendly. I don't know, but I mean, overall, it looked interesting, and I'm definitely wanting to learn more about it because it looked fun. Unknown 9. I think this was the one that they opened up with. This was again, it's been a few days since I've watched this, so some of the things have kind of left my mind a little bit. I don't remember them as clearly, but it was a third person thing, as I remember. And again, it seemed a little actiony, um, but very story focused. But again, I thought it looked really good. I thought it looked really interesting. I definitely want to see what that's like. Monster Jam Showdown. This was kind of an unexpected one, but I've covered a Monster Jam game on the channel in the past, and this seems to be their latest. And it's funny because I regularly watch, usually every weekend now when they have their new season, their shows come out on YouTube, and I'm a big fan of the stunt challenge and the freestyle. The racing I don't care so much about, but the Monster Jam freestyle, where they're in this stadium or arena and they have ramps and objects where they can get big air and stunts off of, do backflips and crazy stuff. So this one, I don't know when it's coming out, but yeah, there's a new Monster Jam. It's going to have like off-road racing. It's going to have the freestyles. It's going to have a lot of that stuff. So I hope it's I hope it's polished. I hope it's, because I don't know, like I like the idea of the previous Monster Jam, but there's just something about the controls or gameplay just didn't click with me as much as I was hoping it would have. Um, but this is one that I have to imagine is probably also coming to PC. So whether it's Xbox or PC, I will, definitely want to check that out at some point. Because I've kind of gotten back into monster trucks and Monster Jam lately, so looking forward to that. Um, there was another game that I can't remember the name of. It was like the second one that they play. Again, I don't remember all the games that were showcased here. This just want to give you an idea. But it was this. It's like a stealth game, I guess, like a third-person stealth game, very kind of story focused. But it also seemed like everything was kind of based on cards. So this kind of shady character, this lady, um, even just the way that like her past or the story, like it actually made sense with the gameplay because like I said, I can't even remember. I'd have to watch that trailer again. Um, but it's something to do with like like probably cards, as I don't know if it's like attacks or perks or something. But then with stealth gameplay, I don't know how forgiving it's going to be because I'm generally terrible at stealth. But again, that one seemed really interesting too. So, we haven't got any word on like the my big Microsoft third-party titles. We'll probably get that in June. But it looks pretty good. I thought that there was a decent amount of stuff coming from third parties. They're not your biggest AAA things, but looked really good. There was another one that was kind of like a, I don't want to say Pokemon, um, but it was more of like a peaceful, like you're collecting critters and I don't know what you're doing with them. But it was really just kind of, it looked more of a bright and cheerful, kind of a chill type of game, um, that I think a lot of people might be into. So yeah, I wish. Sorry, I don't remember as much because it's been 3 4 days and I've had so much go on between then and now that I don't remember the specifics that I did before. But I wanted to wait until after this Ability Summit to do this video because I also wanted to cover, which I think is, arguably more important, talking about these different areas of accessibility and again going into that detail on artificial intelligence. A lot of interesting things happening right now. So we're going to have CSUN. Oh yeah, is that this month already, or is it? It's usually in March. So we'll probably get some announcements coming out of CSUN here in the next month or so. Look forward to that. Who knows? Like I said, I know everyone's probably going to be chasing the AI trend, so I don't know. I know there's like this new Braille and Speak type of device. I forget what it's called, like BT Speak or something like that. There's like a more of a Braille and Speaky version, and then there's like a Pro version. You don't have a Braille display on it, but think about, typing in Braille with a Braille Perkins keyboard and then having speech. I don't know. I mean, I think it could be a really neat tool for some things. I don't know. I used to use a Braille and Speak back in the day, but that was because it was really portable and laptops were ungodly expensive back then. And so, it was in a way, the blind community was ahead of the overall sighted community back then because they didn't have PDAs and things like that back then. So we had our, Braille and Speak kind of note takers. But then once I graduated to a laptop, I'm like, yeah, we'll go laptop. I can do a lot more with this. But yeah, I mean, so those are things that people might want to look at. We got CSUN coming up. We got GAConf coming up. We've got the Summer Game Fest. We've got whatever is going on with all that stuff. I know IGN's got something coming up in June. So we're going to have events. We're going to have WWDC, of course. We've already heard that iOS 18 is supposed to also be chasing the AI thing. Maybe Siri won't be as dumb as a box of rocks. Maybe she'll smarten up a little bit. But yeah, I think that is where we're going to end it because I've babbled on long enough. But thank you to everybody for the support. Hope you guys found this video interesting. Give the video a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter/X at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.